Did Jordan Poole fool the NBA? As you all know, ex-Golden State Warriors superstar Jordan Poole was traded from the Warriors this current season, and it now starting to look, while he's playing for the Washington Wizards, that he wasn't the star he was back in the Golden State Warriors. In today's video, we're going to be going through if Jordan Poole fooled the NBA to thinking that he was a superstar, but in actual fact, he is an absolute bust for the Washington Wizards. So we're going to be going through that in today's video, so make sure to like this video, and if you want more Golden State Warriors content like this, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hitting that red button down below. First is that Jordan Poole has gone a little bit over his head. Now I think this definitely happened, especially in the last years of his time in the Golden State Warriors, but obviously we all know that Jordan Poole in the Washington Wizards has been somewhat of a meme as of lately. Now when we look at Jordan Poole, he's had a lot of big moments. As you all know, there was a moment that was actually caught by a camera, and it did show that Jordan Poole wasn't listening in the huddle during a crunch time game and didn't even know the play in the final seconds. Now this definitely shows his maturity out there on the floor, and I think that does play a huge problem on why he was let go by the Golden State Warriors. Now we all know the fight that did break out between Poole and Green. Now obviously we don't know to what extent, but now you're starting to see maybe why Green was so angry with Poole in the first place. He has no right to do what he did. However, when it comes to the tension that was building up in the team, and Green saying that when it came to last year's team there was definitely no chemistry, it definitely does seem that Jordan Poole may have been the problem due to his attitude towards the game and also to the culture that Warriors have built, especially on the backbone of Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, and Draymond Green. Now don't get me wrong, Poole is still a great player, and he's definitely showing that in the stat sheet. He's averaging 17.7 points, 2.7 rebounds, and 3.6 assists, so he's putting up some pretty decent numbers for a team that is considered a bottom tier team, the Washington Wizards. But when it comes to his attitude towards the game, you definitely are starting to see more of it, as no one is able to keep him in check, especially in this Washington Wizards team. Jordan Poole has come to this team at the age of 24 and is one of the older guys in this roster, and he's the one that's supposed to be leading, and he hasn't really been showing that as of lately. The second is looking at the difference between Jordan Poole being on the Golden State Warriors versus not being on the Warriors. Now you definitely see a huge discrepancy when it comes to the actual teammate chemistry that has been built over the last couple of games, especially as a Golden State Warriors have added some great additions such as Dario Saric and also other players such as Chris Paul. But when it comes to the numbers, they definitely do not lie. If you look at the Golden State Warriors, they've actually gotten worse when it comes to their offensive rating, as now they are actually ranked 12th, while last year they were actually ranked 8th. However, where they did see a huge increase is actually in defense. The Golden State Warriors were ranked 18th in defensive rating, while this season they do rank 15th. Now if we look at their offense, obviously it has hurt a little bit, but their defense has definitely improved. And when we look at it, as we all know guys, defense does win championships, and I think that is definitely a huge offensive factor for it. Now if we look at other stats, some may be more significant than the others, but if we look at the effective field goal percentage, we've actually seen the effective field goal percentage for Golden State Warriors actually decrease. And this is where I think Jordan Poole was such a huge asset. He was a great offensive juggernaut, and I think that was definitely a huge increase for them. However, when it comes to the defensive effective field goal percentage, we definitely see that they have become a better defensive team overall. And I think the reason why this does pan out is due to the addition of Chris Paul and also Dario Saric. They definitely have such huge roles, and with Jordan Poole taking so much minutes, it definitely did take away not only just from the current players that they did have at the time, such as Jonathan Kuminga, Moses Moody, but it does now open them up more this year who are more defensively minded. And I definitely do see that as being such a huge plus. Although Jordan Poole is a great scorer, do not get me wrong, I do believe that the Golden State Warriors needed more defense, especially during their times in the playoffs. As you all know, they did get knocked out by the Los Angeles Lakers last postseason, and during that postseason where they really did struggle was defending, and I do believe that was one of the biggest issues. Now that's one of the reasons why I do believe Jordan Poole was sent away from the Golden State Warriors. I definitely see the Warriors focusing more on defense this upcoming season. Now it hasn't panned out the way that they thought it would, but I do believe they are slowly getting the pieces more and more together, and they are starting to get even better when it comes to defense. And just the way the Golden State Warriors play now versus when Jordan Poole was in the team, you definitely see that when Chris Paul is playing with the bench, he can definitely lead them a little bit better than what Jordan Poole was able to do. And that's just definitely off base experience and when it comes to playing for championship teams. Don't get me wrong, Jordan Poole is a great player and he always will be a champion, but he doesn't have that IQ that Chris Paul has that can really help lead that second unit very well. The third is that Jordan Poole is already being sent off by the Washington Wizards as soon as possible. Now, as you all know, Jordan Jordan Poole's stint with the Warriors so far has not been the greatest, and because of that, it has led to a lot of issues where the Golden State Warriors now already want to move on from Jordan Poole and maybe get another star. Now, the biggest problem with this is that Jordan Poole over the last couple of games has definitely showed that he's not worth the contract that he has been given, and because of that, a lot of teams aren't willing to trade big star players in order to exchange for Jordan Poole. Now, Toronto Raptors were actually in the discussion where the Washington Wizards would receive Gary Trent Jr. and also Chris Boucher, but supposedly when that trade was definitely in the talks, it does seem that the Raptors are no longer interested in getting Jordan Poole, especially the way he has been playing as of recent. Now, it doesn't come down to the stats because he is still putting up 17.7 points, 2.7 rebounds, and 3.6 assists like we last talked about, and is still shooting a 40% field goal percentage. So what we really see is the big issue here is definitely Jordan Poole's attitude towards the team and also his attitude towards winning games. It doesn't seem that he is as interested as he used to, and because of that, it definitely has a huge effect on what they are going to get when it comes to the trade options. Now, other teams that are in the discussion when it comes to traded for Jordan Poole is Orlando Magic. Now, the Orlando Magic would get players such as Jonathan Isaac and Gary Harris. That was also in a very big discussion, but with the way Orlando Magic has been moving so far, where they have been doing such a great job and actually ranked top 3 in all points, assists, and also rebounds, has definitely led them to maybe reconsider doing this trade. Another team is Detroit Pistons, where the Detroit would give up James Wiseman, Alec Burks, and maybe a couple of draft picks, which could definitely be an option. And lastly, the Golden State Warriors could also get him back. Now, if the Warriors were going to get him back, they weren't going to trade anyone big. They aren't definitely going to trade Chris Paul or anything of that nature, but if they can get him for a steal, the Golden State Warriors are still very open at getting someone like Jordan Poole back. And would it definitely work? I can definitely see it work, especially with the guidance of Chris Paul and the other players, but Jordan Poole would definitely have to fix his attitude when it comes to these things. The fourth is, did the Golden State Warriors make the right move by trading Jordan Poole? And the short answer is yes. I think Jordan Poole is a great player, do not get me wrong. He had some of the best stints, especially in the Golden State Warriors uniform, and also did a fantastic job just during the season and also during playoff time. If we look at his most peak season, he was actually averaging 20 points, 4.5 assists, and 2.7 rebounds. So he did a fantastic job for the Golden State Warriors when he was there, but it did hit a point, especially after the Draymond Green incident, that it definitely was not the same, and it wasn't going to be the same as well. I think Jordan Poole definitely is a great player, but his attitude towards the game has definitely taken a huge effect, especially with the team chemistry with the Golden State Warriors roster. Now, yes, maybe the Warriors are interested in getting him back, maybe even for a cheaper price, but I definitely do know that Draymond Green wouldn't be so excited to get Jordan Poole back in the team as well, and that could honestly be such a huge issue, especially if we look at the way he has been playing with the Washington Wizards. It's definitely taken a huge effect that Jordan Poole isn't able to lead a team that he thought he could do, and because of that, he definitely needs the guidance from veterans, and obviously Warriors were definitely some great people to keep him in check. He is still a 2022 NBA champion at the end of the day, and I think Jordan Poole is still a fantastic player, but whether the Golden State Warriors did get better, yes, it may not look like it, especially if we look at the record that the Warriors have, but you do have to realize the Western Conference is a very tough Western Conference, and on top of that, guys, it is still very early on in the season. They did start off very well, having a 5-1 record, and yes, they did have a couple of big losing streaks, but they can definitely come back from it and bounce back, as there are 82 games in this season. So the fifth is, what is next for Jordan Poole? Now, when it comes to Jordan Poole, do I think he's a great player? Yes. Do I think he is going to be a star for any NBA team? With the attitude that he does have right now, I don't really think so. I think Jordan Poole still has a lot of learning to do. He's still 24 years old, and he can definitely become a better player, especially if he does become more of a leader. But when it comes to him right now, and if he does get traded to another team, he probably can't be the star of any NBA team that could win an NBA championship. He definitely needs to start becoming more and more of a leader if he does want that to change. And do I see him changing anytime soon? I definitely can see that, especially with the way things are going now. It has actually been seen in a couple of footages where Jordan Poole is now focusing on the team. He's actually being a part of the huddles and being more of a leader, and definitely these are the signs that he is getting better and better in this game of basketball, and also the way of how to actually play it. Now, when it comes to Jordan Poole, he still has a talent that many people don't have. He can still score the ball very well, come off pick and rolls very well, and be able to give you a shot from anywhere on the three-point line and sink it very consistently. And I think that definitely does show in definitely his stats, not only this season, but also with the Golden State Warriors. Now, when it comes to of Jordan Poole as a whole, I definitely can see him moving on from the Washington Wizards, maybe to a championship contending team that maybe needs that little bit of extra offense, especially off the bench. I think Jordan Poole is a great player, but I think his perfect role right now with the way he is definitely coming off the bench, being that sixth man that can give you 10, 15, maybe even 20 points off the bench on a consistent night. And that's what Jordan Poole does fantastically. His playmaking abilities is definitely there, and he is only getting better as time goes on with his experience with the game and also how the game continues to evolve. Now, he is still technically, I do believe, Stephen Curry 2.0. He may not be to the same level as Steph, but you definitely see a lot of similarities in his game. I think Jordan Poole can definitely get to a level where he is an elite superstar, but he will have to change that attitude, and I do believe he needs to become more of a leader day in and day out.